In this lesson, we're gonna see how we can work with more artistic tools in Photoshop. So we're gonna use the standard brushes. We're gonna customize the standard brushes, and we're also gonna see what other tools we have at our disposal here in Photoshop to work again more artistically. And I started here with the image from another lesson from previous lesson, which is this one here. And I'm just gonna save these as a new file, which is gonna be lesson 13, and just gonna save it. And I don't really need the whole image here, so what I'm gonna do is start to merge the layers. So I'm gonna go here, and if I have a group, if I right click, I can just merge the group. So it's gonna create one single layer. Or when I have different layers, I can merge down the top layer with the one that is beneath. Or if I right click, and I can also merge visible or flatten the image. So if I merge the visible, this is going to be one single layer, and it's going to be my like base where I'm going to work. And I want to convert these. Let me just compact this. I want to change this image. I want to make it look more like a painting and less like a picture or a photo montage. Now, also going to use the crop because I don't want the entire image here. I want only parts. So maybe I'm gonna get only this part right here, and then I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Now you may see that there is a difference in from this interface to the standard. And to change this, I went here in the window, go to workspace, and if you see here, you have like essential, which is the standard, and then you have other interfaces for whatever you need to do. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about painting with brushes, creating artistic effects. So I'm going to use the painting settings for the interface, which as you can see is pretty similar to the previous one, but just changes in some details. So for example, here in the toolbar, we have different tools. Well, they are organized a little bit differently from the other standard interface. And also here we have other types of panels, like the brush settings, really important when you want to customize the brush. And then we have the clone tool, which we're going to talk about later. And then tool presets, and libraries here, and then we have colors here, so we can pick colors from libraries, or we can create our own swatches. We already saw that previously working with colors in the previous lesson. So I can take a color from here, and when I select it, I just go and start with the brush. So this is the standard brush right here, and actually is not the standard. This is one I created. So to go to the standard, I have these folders here that usually you will find already in your Photoshop, and these are like the real standards. And you should find like soft brushes like this, and also hard edged brushes like this. So you see there is a little bit of difference between this one here, because this one here is more blurred on the edges essentially. So you should have this standard brush. Now I don't want to brush directly on the image. Just gonna redo here. Okay, now I created this, but I'm gonna keep it. But I want to brush here on another layer, so that I can like distinguish the brushes from the rest of the work. And also, if I want to get rid of that, remember not to use the eraser, otherwise that's gonna like erase everything and show that we have a transparent background behind. So you should use the history brush tool instead. And be careful to save a state, otherwise you cannot retrieve that in the history here. Let me see. So yeah, I need to go like all the way back if I want to retrieve that part of the image. So be careful on that. Let me just crop again here, and that's it. So just gonna crop from here to here, and then make sure I have a new state saved by clicking here, so I can retrieve this snapshot anytime I paint on that like accidentally, and then I'm gonna create a new layer to work with the brushes. Now, before we continue, I wanna finish with some notions about colors in Photoshop, which we already explained in the previous video. So we saw we can work with adjustment layers rather than using um, the commands from here, from image adjustments and like auto all these that you see here. Now make sure you select the correct layer before you apply here the adjustments. Now usually we work with three main features: the hue, the saturation, and the luminosity. And so if I use these, for example, I usually do auto tone, auto contrast, auto color, so the image is going to be more balanced. And then I proceed by going into these fixing here. So let's do like, I don't know, like shadows, highlights. So you can see that I can play a little bit with this. It's looking like HDR image. Okay, so I can define this. Now, if I say okay, I will not be able to change that. That's going to be directly in the image. So all I can do again is go back with the history brush if I want to retrieve the original pixels. So this is why I usually use not this, but the adjustment layer instead, because here I can always open the adjustment layer and I can always like turn it on and off. I can always fix it every time. So this is why I usually use this. Now let me just apply another one of these. Let's apply like black and white. So I can change this and make it black and white and adjust all the different colors to look like you see brighter or darker. So again, we're usually working with darkness, lightness, hue, saturation. You can find like almost every time the same exact thing, but like shown in different ways. Now, if I say, okay, again, this is going to be applied to the original image, which is not really handy. But what I can do is go here to edit, and I can like fade here. So if I don't do any other action, actually, I can fade. Otherwise, is not gonna be possible. So let me just do this again. Just gonna do black and white. Okay. Then if I go to edit, I can fade the black and white with the opacity. So I can like saturate or desaturate the image essentially. And then I can change here. I can also use some blending layers instead, like we saw also previously. So you find these different ways to work with color correction and color adjustment. And also if we go here, usually you have the, well, let me change actually from painting to photography, because this is better when you work with photography rather than painting. So again, just kind of a step back in the previous lesson. You can see when when you select these, it's going to create groups of layers and adjustment layers. So you can do with these presets, or you can just apply your adjustment layer. But again, the beauty of this is that I can turn it off and on, or I can like change it anytime, change the blending mode anytime, and play with the effects anytime. Now I'm just gonna delete also this. This is just to recap also from the previous. And one of the most advanced is the curve, where you can work here with the RGB or only with the red. And you have this histogram, which is really helpful to understand the part that are darker, the midtones, and the brighter areas. Now you see that if I drop down the red, the blue is going to come out, because colors, they have their opposites. So green, the opposite of green is blue, the opposite of blue is yellow, the opposite of green is red, and so on. So um, you can play around with these, or you can also use presets like this. So contrast, darker, brighter, that's always more or less the same thing when we work with colors. So quickly, before we move on, you can search for HSB or HSV or HSL. These are like different systems, but they usually use again the hue, which is the color, the saturation, which is like the intensity of the color, or the black and white or the gray, and then you have the brightness, so darkness, lightness, and midtones. And this is what you actually use when you work with colors. And of course, you can deepen your knowledge with Google. Just search for, and also see the color opposite. So if you increase the color, you're gonna have like more of that color. But if you decrease it, or you go inverse, you probably get into the other color, which is the opposite. And also I want to show you this HTML color code, so hexadecimal color. So you can, by getting the values of RGB or the values using HSL or using SM epsilon K, you can reproduce the color in any application. Or sometimes you can get directly the hexadecimal code. So let's say I want this specific color here. I'm just gonna copy this code, right click, copy, and then I'm gonna bring it in Photoshop. So I'm gonna go here, and when I go inside my color selector, I'm just gonna go here. This is the hexadecimal value, right click and paste. And so I get the exact color that I want, and I can start perhaps to paint. Now, be careful what you're using here. If you want a standard paint, you can use the brush tool. And you have also the pencil tool, which is kind of like similar to the brush, only is really, really tiny. It's right now is 1 pixel. I can maybe increase it a little bit more. And usually it's really sharp. But you can always fix that. You can see you have size and hardness. Now the size is gonna define the how big your tool will be, and hardness will define the borders. But you can see there's nothing happening here with the pencil. So pencil is supposed to be like really hard, while the brush, it's like more versatile, can be also not so hard, can be blurred. And then we have all these presets right here. We have these folders that you can use, and you have like soft, standard brush. Let me just change here again from the workspace from photography to painting. So again, we have these tools available. So these are like standard brushes, and then you have other folders. If you don't have those folders, click here and go to, you can create new brush presets using these parameters here, or you can go here and append the default brushes. So now I just created a new set of, you see this is in Italian here, and these are in English, which you probably see like this in English. And then you have like dry media brushes, and then you have like wet media brushes. So we have others here, really cool. And be careful, because right now we are here, the smudge. Now the smudge also is really good when you need to simulate like painting. And I'm gonna show you this in just a minute. Just want to finish here with the painting. So this is the one that I've chosen. So some of these uses also a particular tool. So you see this one uses again the smudge, but I want to bring it back here to the standard. And then you have like splatter brushes like these. They simulate like spray, or you have like these again like spray. And then you have these which has like a pretty defined pattern. So I need to zoom in here. You see the pattern there. And let me see again. Well, that's it. So you don't have so many actually. Now, if you want more brushes, all you need to do is get in here. Well, you can click here, or you can go directly here in the brush settings. Or you can, you need to reach essentially this. Oh, you can click here. You can click on this little engine icon. When you're there, you can import new brushes or get more brushes. If you click on get more brushes, it's going to bring you here to Photoshop No, well, actually, this is Adobe Creative Cloud area. So you can select whatever you want. You can see you have watercolor, dry media, runny inkers, manga brushes, and whatever. You have like 1,000 of these. So let's get like, I don't know, like winter brushes. So I'm gonna click on download, and it's gonna download the file. You can see the file is ABR. Now you can either go inside the folder here, copy this, copy into the Photoshop folder. So you just need to go in C and then programs, look for Adobe folder and get here in the Photoshop, and then you have like presets, and this is where you can find brushes and you find other stuff that you can import, like swatches or for example, patterns, materials, and so on. So this is where you can directly copy and paste, or you can go here and install it. So to install it, we go back again on the little engine icon and we say, instead of get more brush, we do import brush. And you select the folder you want to import. Again, ABR is the format, and just load. And now we should have an extra folder here. So if I just close these other folders, we just make this compact. There you go. You have winter 2020, and these are other brushes we can use. Sometimes you can just click once. Sometimes you click and drag and create a path, and that's it. So there you go. You have so many here you can use. Really interesting brushes, and also these. There you go. So kind of decorative stencil like brushes and so on. So you know, basically anything can become a brush. I'm gonna show you how you can create your customized brush as well. Once you have the brush layer, you can also change the blending mode and create some really beautiful effects like this using the background image there. Or we can just use the opacity. Or we can play also with the layer style. So if I double click, I can enter the layer style. I can do like bevel emboss if you want to have like a fake 3D effect. And then you can like make this softer, whatever. You have a lot of parameters here. I cannot go through all of these. Just play around with those. You really have a lot of to play with. And then, for example, you can add contours, texture on top of that. You can create your own texture, which is gonna get this 3D effect. And then you can stroke, inner shadow, inner glow, satin effect, color overlay, or gradient overlay, and pattern overlay. So you have all these features here, outer glow. So if you want to make it like glowing brushes, drop shadow, if you want to make them, you know, drop the shadow. And again, you can define the size and everything. So you have a lot of things to play in here that can be added as an effect to the brush that you're using. Now I want to go back into the web, because also you you can download a lot of brushes by just searching Photoshop brush download. You will find a lot of brushes that are ready for you. Some of those are free, some of those you need to pay for them, but there is like really an infinity choice of brushes that you can use, download and install in Photoshop, simulating whatever effect you're looking for. So if you want to be more specific, you just type like, I don't know, like splatter or ink, and you will find a lot. So you download the ABR format and just install it or copy and paste it into the brush folder. Same thing goes for patterns. Patterns are another way that you can decorate, but using like a repetition of a particular effect and that you probably want to repeat over and over. But essentially, it works the same way. In this case, the format is called PAT. So you can search for like technical pattern like hatches, things like that, or you can look for more artistic pattern. And again, you search, you find it, you download it, you install it, and that's it. I'm just gonna show you here how you can create your customized brush and pattern in Photoshop. So I want to create a new file here, and it's gonna be art and illustration, and let's go for a square um, setting here. And then I want to use standard brush. So I'm gonna all the way up. I'm gonna go to the general brushes and take like general like this. And this is gonna be a little bit too big, so I'm gonna make this smaller and maybe less hard. And I'm just gonna create like circle, kind of a sketch circle like this. And that's gonna be my, well, I can use it as a brush or as a pattern. It's really similar. So let me just show you how I do this. I'm just gonna create another one like this, okay? So we go to edit, and to create a new brush, a new custom brush, I go all the way down and define a brush preset. So you can see I can call this JBD circle brush. And now I have a new brush, which is already available. I just need to make this like smaller, and you can see that it's like continuously creating these circles. If I click one, I can create only one circle at a time. And let me just go back, Control Z. Now to create a pattern instead, a customized pattern, I can go and again to the edit and do define pattern. And let's call this JBD circle pattern. Okay, now I have a new brush and a new pattern, and let's use it in my composition. So I'm gonna go back here, and I just wanna like deactivate these two layers for the time being, and I wanna create a new one, which is gonna be an empty one. Now to make this a little bit more interesting, I wanna have some background to work with. So I'm gonna fill. So with the bucket fill, that's another way you can work with colors. So when you use a bucket fill, you can use the foreground, which is now this one here. Actually, I wanna like a lighter blue like this, or you can use a pattern. So you can see that now if I go in the pattern, I can find the standard patterns, but also the one that I've just created. So I can fill using this pattern right here. So that's already a way I can use my customized pattern. Now, another way, if I have a layer like this, is to go again in the layer style. So double click, go in the layer styles, go in the pattern overlay, and here you will find the new pattern, which is not really visible because right now I'm using a U. I can go in normal blending mode, or I can use some other type of blending node. I can also apply directly the pattern to the image here. Just gonna change here again the blending mode and see what's gonna happen. And be careful not to be here. Actually, you need to be here. So there you go. Now I can play around with this and see if I can find something that I like and keep it, or just try to blend it more. Maybe I like this, but I want to like less visible like this. Okay. And also I want to play with the brush. So let's get the brush again. And now I have, this is the circle one that I created, but let's say I want to customize it more. Well, in that case, I need to go here in the brush settings window, which is available right here in this interface. Otherwise, you go here and you open it up from here. And then I can play around. You have a lot of parameters you can play with. You can play with shape dynamics. So start like jittering here, or also increasing the spacing will also be cool. And also the scattering around, and the texture, you can apply a texture on top of that and change here the type of texture again, and the blending mode, the scale, the brightness, the contrast, the depth. So it's really crazy how many parameters we can work with. We can work with color dynamics. We can work with transfer, opacity jitter, flow jitter. And you know, there's so many of these. If you want, you can just play with all of them. Just go one by one and, you know, just turn it off, turn it on, try to see what happens. Now, if I now go here, start to play, you can see how playful this has become. So it's a really cool effect that I can apply to my composition here, and it's really kind of artistic in a way. And other thing I can do is save this new brush. So if I go here and click on plus, it's gonna save a new circle JBD brush, and there you go. So I have the standard one here, and then this more playful one that I can use. Now let's go into more artistic results. Well, actually, I painted the rag clean here, which I really don't want to do that because then I cannot manage this separately, but I'm gonna keep it this way. So, really artistic effects, you can use the mixer brush tool, which is gonna act like oil painting. So if I go here, it's gonna like mix, and let me just change here the type of brush, so you can see it's going to like mix with the other colors. So if I use like this other one, you can see it's gonna mix. It's gonna act like working in with oil painting. So like you would do in reality. It's gonna like mix those two colors. And then you have a lot of parameters as well here, like wet and other the percentage of mixing and so on. So really artistic type of brush that you could use. And then another one that is really artistic is here together with the history brush tool, you have the art history brush. Now you can see this is gonna like, let me just decrease the size. So it's gonna scramble the pixels around, creating this kind of, you know, impressionist, expressionist art. So it's gonna make things look not like a a picture, but like a work of art, a painting. There you go. So you can be quicker if you increase the size, but it's gonna do like larger areas. So probably this is like good for the background. So we can continue here and, you know, change everything and make it look like a painting instead of a picture, a photograph. And here, if you want to preserve some details, you probably want to bring this down and just paint around to make it look again more like an image, a painting. Now, another one that I really like is the smudge. So using the smudge, be careful again what brush you are selecting. I have a standard brush for this. I don't want to go too crazy, so I'm gonna go to the standard like this, and make this smaller with the size, and then start to smudge. So this is what smudging is. It's like, again, you're working with wet colors, or maybe I want to decrease the strength here. There you go. And you just like working with your finger, trying to, you know, push this. Let me increase here a little bit the hardness, and maybe I want to increase more the strength. So you see we are like pushing this and creating kind of, you know, Van Gogh effect, pushing them around like this, distorting the pixels, extending the pixels around to create this really, you know, sometimes it's kind of also uncanny effect. But well, it depends on your like artistic style. If you want to go for something more impressionist again, or expressionist, there you go. So there's really a lot to play with these you know, different tools, and it's just examples. You can create your own style using, you know, all these different techniques. You can affect the background there, create kind of a painted world with all these different effects. So you can go really crazy with this. Another thing I like to do is use gradients also, not only standard fill. So you find the gradient usually together with the paint bucket. So if you click and drag, it's gonna apply here a new gradient. You can check here if you find something more interesting for your project. You can adjust the gradient by clicking on these little circles and this kind of adjustment thing. You can make a circular gradient. You can make it like pyramid and linear and so on. You can reverse. You can change here also. And once you have it, you can just then play again with the various blending modes, and you see we probably find something more more artistic, maybe like this. I don't know. I need to think about it. Now, the last thing I want to show you is the eraser. Now, we worked with the standard eraser. So if I erase, well, at first I need a layer that has pixels so I can erase. Now, when you erase like this, it's going to erase the image and leave the transparent pixels that are behind. So if you don't want to do that, if you want to just erase an effect, remember you have the history brush tool. So if you click here, you want to retrieve that part, you can retrieve it with the history brush tool. You're going to retrieve the state that you saved here in the history. So when you want to save a new state, you click here and then you have a new state that you can retrieve. And you can also go back to the previous states. Now, also you have the background eraser. This is used to erase only the background. You can see here, I'm just clicking and dragging, and it's considering only the color in the background. So that's another really interesting feature in Photoshop. And this works really similar to the color changing tool or the color replacement tool. So you have the possibility to do continuous selection and continuous deletion, or you can do just once. Sampling once will guarantee that you're gonna erase only that first color that you selected, and it will leave the other alone. And also you can do continuous or discontinuous, so you can jump from a point to the other, or you can do find edges. If you want to find the edge of your subjects here, you're gonna go all the way around them. So you have different ways you can use this. And also it works with the tolerance. The higher is the tolerance, the more it's going to delete. So be careful to set all these tolerance. And sampling, we already talked about this type of sampling previously, talking about the color substitutions. I'm not gonna go over that again. And then you have the magic eraser, which works similarly to the magic wand. So with the magic wand, you click on this pixel, it's gonna select similar pixels, again, based on the tolerance, based on the sample size, and so on. So if you want, once you select it, you can delete with delete key. And well, basically that's what the magic eraser will be. It will just delete areas that are similar in terms of colors. And if you increase the tolerance, it's gonna delete more and more until it's gonna like delete everything. So be careful to adjust again the tolerance. Tolerance is really important. And then of course you have the other smart selection, like the select subject. There we go. It's gonna smart detect the subject, or smart remove background. And maybe you need to adjust it with a mask, or you can use the object selection tool, also really handy for this situation. And that's it. We're gonna stop here with this lesson. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you in the next. Subscribe to the channel, stay updated, join the channel to support us, and check out other video guides and video courses.